Yeah, I mean, I can't pinpoint, exactly what it was. Um, it doesn't take much um, to lose some of your concentration and get sloppy. It doesn't take much. But I thought today we were more in sync with each other. We did a much better job of finding the right person at the right time and not trying to force anything that wasn't there. So I think when you do that, things turn out pretty good. And, if we could keep it like that for the rest of the year, that would be fantastic.
Season high 6 steals for Sarah today. Just where do you feel like she's obviously such a just dominant offensive player, but I feel like her defensive game is just as strong. How have you seen her just take another step forward in that aspect?
I mean, if you look at her whole body of work from last year and add it to this year, there's just a knack that she has to put her hands, get a piece of the ball every time she reaches for it. There's some kids reach and they either come out with air or they come out with a foul. She manages to get her hands on the ball. And she's got great quickness and some games, you're just in a great position to be able to do that more so than some other games. But I thought the whole team today was. I thought our energy was incredible, and I thought we were flying. I think to the ball and covering for each other really, really well. The best that I think I've seen so far this year.
You guys had 4 steals and 4 baskets before St. John's took their first shot. Was that what you were? Did you feel like this was a team you could turn over like that, or was it just the energy, like you were just talking about? They just came out like that.
Yeah, I don't think you go into any game thinking you're going to be able to do that early, that quickly. Again, a lot of times things just have to break right for you. It involves 2 players to make that stuff happen. One is under a lot of pressure and makes a mistake with the ball, and the other one's in a perfect position to get a steal. But yeah, like I said, I think our energy and our rotations, I think today were the best that they've been this year. We seem to be exactly where we needed to be. Sometimes we're late. I thought today we were really right on point. We really were.
You've talked a lot recently about Sarah being more assertive and not passing up shots. Did you think she did a better job of that today at all?
Yeah. But it's hard to pass up layups, she's got a great feel for how to use her body to seal the defensive player, and we do a pretty good job of finding her, but she makes herself available, and that's why we can find her. I like when she gets a lot of touches. It doesn't matter to me whether they're, in the lane, out on the perimeter, on the move. It doesn't matter as long as she gets a lot of touches any which way, and she got a lot of them today in a lot of different ways. I think I was looking at the number, of shots that we got, and generally, the ball ends up in either Sarah Strong or Azie's hands, at the right time. Both of them have such a knack for it, and we probably, as a coaching staff, have got to even take that to another level. That if we want to, I think, be a little more intentional. We had that 4-minute drought there in the third quarter where we didn't score. We got missed layups or missed easy bunnies, but I think there's things that we can do. I think to maximize. We're a really good shooting team, and I think putting pressure on teams by where Sarah and AZ and Blanca also, where they catch the ball is really difficult for the defense.
What has grown the most in KK's offensive game this year, and just kind of what dimension does it add when she's able to score a little bit, more than like she was tonight?
I think the thing that's helped, we've talked about this. She's not as rushed, most young players get sped up and get a little bit ahead of themselves, and she's much more under control. When she drives the ball into the lane, there's a point to it. It's not just put your head down and get into the lane and then all of a sudden look around, why am I here? She's able to get in the lane and either get the ball on the rim and have a chance to make it, as opposed to just throwing it up there, or finding, and we did a pretty good job of that today. Blanca did it too, getting in there and then finding an open shooter, And I think the confidence that she has in her own game and in herself, and that's a big thing. I can't overestimate how much that matters. That she's shooting the ball with a lot of confidence. She's playing with a lot of confidence, and that's part of maturity. Playing on our team, when you've got that many scorers, you want to be able to spread the ball around. You want to be able to make sure that the thing's running smoothly, and you got to have a little bit of confidence in yourself and have a great awareness of our offense. And right now, she's just in a really, really good place.
The men and you guys played at the same time, which doesn't happen a lot. They got a lot of big plays from new players, transfers, and freshmen. You did as well. Is this a time of year where you think they've had enough practices where they can just kind of cut it loose and just start playing instead of thinking, am I supposed to be here? Should I do this? Or what? How should I handle things?
I think there's a learning curve. There's a comfort level. There's also you're stepping into a program, theirs and ours, where there's a set of standards that you have, and when you first get in here, you're not sure of how do we do this, So you spend more time watching rather than doing. And it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of talking from the coaches a lot of time for those kids to get a little more comfortable and a little more assertive. And it, may be a little bit easier on the guys' side because those guys, some of those guys are 18, 19 years old, and they're men almost, and they've played a lot of basketball, and, they have aspirations to be pros. And so I think there's a purpose for them being at UConn, and I think for us it's, sometimes they know they're going to be here for 4 years, so there's this, I'll wait my turn. I was talking to one of the players recently, and I said, what do you think? And she says, I kind of defer a lot to AZ and Sarah, and I said, well, who are you going to defer to next year? Probably AZ, and I'll think of somebody else. And I'm like, that's, I think maybe, because if I only knew I'm only going to be here a year or two max, maybe I wouldn't think like that, but it's not the worst problem in the world to have. But eventually they get it, and I love when young kids play great, Echo had a great game today. May not show up in the back score. I don't know what she did on the back score. But she played really, really well today. And I think if you watched film of her defensively a month ago and you watch film of her tonight defensively, it's a completely different player. So eventually, even Blanca, if you saw Blanca, middle of November and you watch her today, it's not the same player. So they get it eventually, some quicker than others.
In that same vein, Sarah Williams had 3 blocks tonight and was a all Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year earlier in her career. Where have you seen her kind of settle in and grow on that end of the court for you guys?
Yeah, she had a really good one in practice yesterday, and that's something that I would love to see more of. I think the more in practice, the more times that you put yourself in that position to learn or become more of a shot blocker, I think the better for us. I think wherever she's going to go next year, she's going to have to be able to defend, big guys in the post, defend on the perimeter, contest shots. So she's got a lot to do if that's what she wants in her future. And little by little, we're starting to see more of that. And I hope that there's even more, coming up. All right, guys, thank you.